I think he's just picking up his kid. I don't think he's actually went to see anything.
I'm trying to think of what's playing.
No, I can hear you guys. I'm just trying to concentrate on driving. Sorry.
Yeah, do that.
Priorities.
Well, I'm pretty sure he didn't go see Paddington.
No.
Scratch that off. Maybe
think he
Insidious. Maybe that's the only like teenage movie. Horror
Star
movie.
Wars.
Star Wars
No.
not playing. What's the other one?
Jumanji 2.
Oh, inside Jumanji.
Yeah.
Do you know
That was
this?
That was a good movie. I'm sorry. Like, people can hate on the new one. They can hate on it all they want. I liked it.
My
It
heard a
looks
lot of good
good. It
things
looks
about
fun.
it.
Yeah.
Also, along these lines, Paddington 2 is one of like 4 or 5 movies that has 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes with at least 100 reviews.
Really?
Weird.
Yes. So I was like, well, I wasn't gonna. Like Miles was kind of on the fence. I'm like, well, seems
You
to be
kind of
pretty
have
good.
to, right?
Yeah,
You kind
at
of
this
have
point.
to.
I think so.
At this point, the hype dictates.
Yeah. So that's next weekend's event.
I don't know when our next movie going will be. I'm not sure.
My wife and I see a superhero movie for every Valentine's Day since Deadpool. So we will probably try and do Black Panther, but I don't know what the exact release date is.
Well, I know for Valentine's Day we will be going to watch 50 Shades because that's what I was told.
Get things started.
See, my wife and I, we've talked about it, but she has like one friend who doesn't have sex with her husband, who always makes her go see it with her.
Interesting setup.
I get screwed because her husband won't.
Mm.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm big on the 50 Shades, man. My wife and I read them together. It was fun.
Oh, it was the books had come out, and we were on our way home from a trip in Ohio, and we stopped at a Starbucks because she wanted something to drink, and so did I, and everything else. But I came out of the Starbucks with coffee. All the windows of the car are rolled down, and the 50 Shades book is blaring over the radio, the audio book, and it's in the middle of a steamy scene in the book. And she's parked right in front of the front door, so anyone going in or coming out of Starbucks is catching full descriptions of one of the kinkier scenes in the book.
I find it really funny that the conversation turns to 50 Shades of Grey and Jason bails.
Oh shit!
I knew he was all talk.
Oh, now he's back.
So the official release date of Black Panther is February 16th. So,
Which is the weekend, right? Because doesn't Valentine's Day fall on like a... I actually think my baby shower is like that weekend.
Yeah, the 14th is I think a Wednesday.
yeah, 16th is Friday.
Yeah.
So that hopefully that'll be what we're doing. Because
Jason,
that movie looks so good.
Mm.
If I tried to take my wife to a superhero movie on Valentine's Day, she'd throw me out of the car.
Make sure it's a really good superhero movie, and you get to see it first. You don't tell her what it is.
Right.
And then she throws you out on the way home.
Right.
Well, we did it partially because, the big joke that they marketed Deadpool as a love story. So that if you didn't know what Deadpool was, it was like, he's going after the love of his life on Valentine's Day.
It's not a lie.
It's not a lie.
All right.
He also spanks a unicorn.
Well,
Yes, he does.
is the gang all here, or is anybody else?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody else
This is it. I think.
Yeah, I mean, people pop on if they want to.
Drive-by podcasting.
Yeah.
So Mike can take
Literally.
the time to jump on someone else's stream, but he can't make it to the board meeting.
He's got it on lockdown. I can tell.
Yep.
He's locked in.
He's in. He's focused. Look at that focus. That's a face of pure focus right there.
True that.
Oh, now he's gone.
You scared him off.
Doesn't like us talking about him and shit. So for those of you who weren't able to catch, Mike was actually on a stream today, which I was very glad I could get a chance to watch. I guess what's the name of that show, Mike? Is he even unmuted yet?
Yeah. Give me a second. I follow him on Twitch. I can find it.
It was Return to Greyhawk.
Yes.
Yeah. So Return to Greyhawk's doing doing that new show where I guess he's gonna talk to different people talking about Greyhawk, and they picked Mike to be their to break their cherry, and they sure did that.
Oh yeah.
It was good. I got to catch a good solid like half hour of it. And it's funny when the host of the show is like trying to read reference material and Mike's just giving him the answers.
I can honestly, I don't know if Mike can hear this. I can honestly see Mike being like a co-host going forward.
Right.
They need that, the ringer.
Yeah, they need
Mike Bridges is Ed McMahon.
Yeah, exactly.
He could be like their fact checker, and he doesn't have to look up shit.
He's like, we have a new skit. We have a rules discrepancy. Let's do to Ask Mike.
And all he has to do is just thumbs up or thumbs down. No, you got it wrong.
My
It's
favorite.
like simple yes or no answers.
Yeah. Completely muted, just on, yeah. Sounds
When
about
Mike
right.
starts rattling off years.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, and common year, blah 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 blah, and dude's eyes were like, "What?"
Or when Mike started talking about the 4 continents, and the other guy was like, "Oh yeah, that's a thing." And Mike's like, "Yeah, of course it's a thing."
Awesome.
Yep. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Got some old business to kind of talk about, or just at least touch on.
First off, Eric, I'm sorry. How is your father-in-law?
Oh, he's fine. Those of you who don't know, my father-in-law is in the hospital. He's doing much better. He's still confused, but he's at least feeling grumpy. That's good. So
Good sign.
yeah.
Okay.
So, but thanks for asking.
Yep.
So some of the old business, we were kind of talking about APs last time, because I was putting out the raw AP of the Blue Rose, and then there was a couple other things that I was putting out. So looks like I had to put the Blue Rose finale session on hiatus, at least for a couple of weeks. I think we'll hopefully be able to pick that up next week and finish it off. But in the meantime, I did release the Dreamchaser episodes. Did anybody get a chance to catch those?
I did.
Was there more than one? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, there was the one where there was character creation. And then there was 2 episodes after that where we actually played the game. And that's actually the game that I'm going to try and coordinate and have Pete run it for some people. So if I'll try and get some dates locked down for when he's available to run it. He'll run it online. And we'll just kind of, whoever's available can sit down and play with it. It's a lot of fun because it's very low prep, because Game Master just sits there and says, okay, let's come up with, what are your goals? What do you want to do? And then how are we going to get to there? And then you kind of role play to those points with the Game Master just kind of, massaging things in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I listened to the character creation one. I don't think I caught any of the other ones. I need to go back and look where they were posted.
I can put up a post link to those episodes. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Pete's a really interesting cat. He's very positive and everything's kind of, yes, do it. So, which is fun.
Yeah, that's exactly. I only got to listen to the character creation one, and he very much has a whatever you want. Let's do it. Let's do this together.
Right. I don't know what Pete does for a living, but it must be very interesting. He's very relaxed. So, The other thing that I did want to bring up, Danny brought it up last time, was the buy, sell, trade, or donate thing. That really, it hasn't really gotten anywhere. But maybe like a trading thing on Discord. Hey, look, I've got this. Anybody want it? What do you want to trade for it? That kind of thing, rather than, because we can still do it on the message board, but honestly, the message board's kind of hit and miss. Discord's kind of hit and miss. Some days it's really active, some days it's just kind of sits there. So what do you guys think about that?
Fine. Discord's as good a place as any.
I mean, as long as you can make the connection with somebody else who's willing to trade or wants to trade, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's whatever's easiest. It seems easier to jump on Discord because then you don't have to jump on the web. You don't have to get to the website, find the thread, find the person that posted on the thread. I mean, it's easier to find things that way because, I mean, it's got a search bar. But with Discord, it's
easier
quicker.
to DM people directly, too.
Yeah.
So I could set up a channel just for that. We could, call it a, trade channel or something like that. And if people want to do that, that's cool. And keeping money out of it. I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I was just gonna say, your turn to failed relocation program. I think if people have stuff like a person don't fit now, I think it's gonna things where you have to kind of jump in and get that ball rolling before anyone's really gonna get excited.
You need an icebreaker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's definitely true. I don't want to give up on that idea. I know Gage was cutting out a little bit when he was talking about it, the failed dice program. It's not something that needs to be, make or break, or if it doesn't work, we're going to scrap it. It could just be something. It could be a slow burn, and just as it starts to happen, it could be something that can take a while, and that's no big deal. It's not like
I would totally do it, but I haven't gamed since we made it a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gamed.
Roll20 doesn't really work for that, does it?
Right. Well, I suppose you
roll 20 times.
I suppose you could do that. That would be an interesting thing. If you post a picture of a roll 20 fail, and
what do we do? Send you the laptop?
No. Just as hey, get a free die. That because I think one of the hangups of that, of course, would be people don't want to give out their addresses. So.
I don't care. Oh no! I'm trying to hear me speak. Oh no! I don't care. It's fine. I'm talking about something.
It's important
I'm
stuff.
busy.
And we're listening with rapt attention.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to tell her to be quiet. She won't listen.
Hey, stop!
I'm going to have to go to another room, I guess.
Oh, you're going to have to go to another room?
This is my house.
They beg to differ.
He's outnumbered.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
Oh, yeah. Going to his own bathroom. It's the only safe place.
No, we don't want to see that.
No.
Nah. I'll go in my bedroom. Sit on the bed. Oh, okay. Sorry, go ahead, guys.
No, it's cool. So anyway, yeah, I could see where people would be a little apprehensive about giving away their address. So I don't know how to get past that. I guess once people see it being done, I guess they'll be more okay with it. But
unboxing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Any other old things that anybody can think of? That's really the only things that I had. If not,
I know at one point you were, I think it was the last episode or the one before that, you were talking about people wanting to volunteer to run or be interested in playing in backer run campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been any movement forward on that? Anybody else come forward or what?
Not really. I mean, there's been a few things. Really, the only thing that I can recall that's even remotely like that is Eugene did the creature. Yeah. So, but beyond that, no, not really. And it's an open invitation. So if somebody has something going on, that's why I put up that channel for looking for game. If somebody has something that they want to, get going. And I know that, people are busy and, you have your own games going on and whatnot. So it's not something that's required or whatnot. I do have, a 5th edition adventure that I'm working on that I will want to play test online. So and it's kind of in its alpha stage right now. I've got the story kind of laid out and whatnot. I don't have a whole lot of I've got all the maps done. All I just got to do is kind of plug everything in at this point. So probably within the next month or so, I may put it out there looking for game for somebody to play a 5th edition adventure. Initially, I had scaled it, or I had made it for I was really ambitious. It was like 8th to 10th level or something like that. And then I was like, no, I need to scale this back. Especially when I'm thinking about things like mid-range spells and like how do you kind of get people in these certain areas that you want to and make this threat, compelling when you've got higher level stuff. So I was like, no, let me scale it back. And it looks like I'm probably going to go with have it be an introductory, like a 1st level adventure now. So
3rd level is always the best level for 5th edition. Just putting that out there.
That's where everybody starts getting in their groove.
Right. I could scale it, I guess, 1st to 3rd, so if you want to use it as an introductory, but you don't necessarily have to.
Yeah. That'd be good.
So, okay. All right. Something I do want to do with these meetings, a lot of times I'll be on the lookout for new games or new books to read. So I know what some of you are doing, but what's some of the other guys? What are you playing right now, or prepping?
Well, I mean, I'm still trying to get stuff together for an RPG called Splinter. I think I mentioned that in chat at some point. But getting the group together is being iffy. There was a pre-made adventure that I was looking at running for Savage Worlds, but I don't know where my notes went.
That sucks.
And I went through the whole campaign, the whole story that they had laid out, and it's one part of what could be a 3-part arc, but they don't give you anything on the other 2. So, and they don't really give a lot of detailed information about the areas of the world where it happens, because it's the main story that they do is in one country, and it's adjacent to 2 other countries, to put it simply. And it goes all the way up to beforehand, and then the main issue that you have to deal with and resolution. But then from there, it's kind of open world on. You can go further with this, or you can just deal with your own house. And I mean, it was neat. I had notes for the whole thing written down, and now I can't find them.
So what I'm planning on here in an indeterminate amount of time based upon Goodman Games. I don't know if anybody's familiar with, I like to share out little things. There's a company called Atomic Empire. It sells RPG books and amongst other things. They sell stuff on the cheap. I pre-ordered the Mutant Crawl Classics, the Gamma World,
right.
the Gamma World DCC Kickstarter. It should be coming out soon. and they've already got like the first 8 modules, and they're all fucking amazing. Like, I'm here in a second. I will post the synopsis of the first adventure so you all can read it. And but I told I know Jason really wants to do the game. You see, he's nodding. But I figure by the time that's actually released, Mike will be ready for like a 2 or 3 week break, and we're gonna kill some mutants or be mutants or both.
So does it have? So it's a Gamma World. It still does the funnel and everything like that.
Yeah, it's DCC, but it's just rebranded for mutant. Like Gamma, it's just a new Gamma World that's in the same vein of DCC, which I really like DCC.
It's just it's an irradiated funnel.
Exactly. Now let me dig up the thing while you all continue
I
to
didn't
talk.
see that. I didn't see that coming across at all. That sounds fun because
You don't think?
played DCC a bunch, and Gamma World was fun.
Oh
Putting
yeah,
it together. Yeah.
it's like it's the peanut butter and jelly, man. It's just like I was like, how can this not be bad? So hopefully it'll be finalized, and I'll get that here pretty soon. Coming soon.
Cool.
Oh, I mentioned I just started, so I got the Tales from the Yawning Portal for New Year's, and the first one in there, the 1 to 3 level adventures, the Sunless Citadel, for obviously for 5th. So that's what I'm using for the campaign. Some new players and kids. So that should be interesting because the first thing that happened as first encounter, their paladin got snuck up on by 3 giant rats and knocked out in the surprise round. So they're a little harsh, those old adventures, but we'll see.
Right. For people who can't read the text, I'll read you the synopsis of this. It's the first adventure to go with Mutant Crawl Classics. Younglings on their rite of passage are shocked to regain consciousness with no memory of how they came to be in a giant insect hive to the far north of their homelands. And this is where it gets good. Laboring as drone slaves of the savage ant-men. In a land where an insect revolution has taken place, the PCs must contend with insectoid megafauna, maze-like underground installations before facing the ominous Overmind, a building-sized giant insect queen cybernetically linked to an ancient chaotic AI.
That's a first level adventure.
That's 0 level adventure. That's where you bring all your guys. It's gonna be how can you? It just like I read every time I read, I'm like, it just gets better with every line.
But you have to practice your British accent.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So Jason's gonna play Zardos.
Oh yeah, he's got to cosplay that too.
Yeah, so good.
Nope.
Come on, man, it's for art.
Nope.
Yeah, it's for art.
Who's art?
New Year's episode's coming up. Just make it a challenge.
Oh, you read my mind.
I could give a fuck. I'll fail all that shit. I don't care.
Oh man, no heart.
No heart.
I did not have the body for Zardoz. No.
Neither did Sean Connery at the time.
I don't think anybody really has the body for Zardoz. You just got to do it.
Yeah,
right.
Sean Connery just needed some manscaping. That was it.
It was in the 70s.
That's right. That's
razors were
right. That's wild man.
So,
right.
Yeah. I have a? We generally talk about topics, Eric. I don't want to jump the gun, but I wanted to. If you're ready, I was gonna bring that up.
Sure.
So one of the I'm gonna throw this out. This is a topic I'd really like to talk about. This is technically a Brandy topic or a Brandy inspired topic. I don't know how many people here in this chat have ever played any of the Telltale games here, like Telltale Walking Dead or Borderlands or The Dark Knight. Okay. The title of the topic would be hard choices, difficult decisions, something like that. As Brandon would tell you, the Telltale games are barely a game. right? They're an interactive story. What the fuck is that? That's what we do, right? And what they do throughout the course of the game is they'll put you in a situation where you have one or you have two, maybe three options, and they're like, save this person or save this person.
Right.
I find it really interesting because as PCs in groups, you want the perfect solution. You want everything to work out right. Dinner's done.
Mhm.
So I was wondering if what that would be like in a tabletop RPG. Like I, as the GM, I'm still giving the players agency to make their decision, but there's a super severe negative, and like you can't overcome it, right? Unless you did something super epic, right? So hard choices in tabletop RPGs.
Okay.
Like I guess with people having not seen or played these games, maybe it's a little bit. I'm not
Yeah, but
articulating it very
not
well.
necessarily, because I mean, look at the roots of many of us, especially those of us who remember the. Oh, Danny's on twice.
Double the Danny.
But those who remember the choose your own adventure, I mean that's essentially the same thing,
Yeah.
right? It's like you choose to do one thing or the other. Now just making it like life or death on both ends. It's like there is no good decision, because either way somebody's going to die, or
Right.
something bad is going to
It's
happen.
like save this village, let this village burn, right?
Right.
It's like really
Burn it.
like burn it always. Injecting really hard choices, because I know how we tend to play. You want to sit around and you want to theorize the best possible scenario where everybody gets everything that they want. And the other thing
Right.
about the Telltale game is you have like 3 seconds to make your decision. And I mean, you have to do it like that. You have to make a
So
snap.
it's like make a
It's
decision, this or this, and if you don't do it, then neither happen.
Or some third really bad thing. It's really interesting. I'll try to find some videos to post.
Until you added that last bit, I was like, why would I ever play that? Just sitting there agonizing over. But if you only have like seconds to do it,
Yeah.
then I could see that being. Yeah, so maybe in RPG, like tabletop setting, that wouldn't really work so well, because, people are going to want to discuss
They do. And
as a group.
this comes back around to one of my other ideas that I still love and I used to do very rarely, is the egg timer at the table.
Right.
Put your players under the clock, just because it's about, you have your story and it can fork, right? And as a GM, you can only plan for so many eventualities, but it's just a plot point, right? So we have this plot point where maybe 1, 2, or 3 things can happen, and that's manageable as a GM. It still gives your players agency. It can still be huge, right? Put the egg timer on, put the screws to them, and get that sense of emotion, right? And what Telltale does, and I think like thinking really big, like what if this is how people all ran games? The Telltale games will tell you at the end of the episode your choices based on everybody else's choices. Like 64% of the people chose A in this scenario, or 32% chose to save this person as opposed to this person. So I think it would be neat. So hard choices. What do we think? Can we milk that for a whole episode?
Probably. I'm certain that those present will be able to talk about that, especially those who've played the games, and then the rest of us who haven't can at least speculate on what kind of choices, what kind of decisions as a game master you would put your players to.
Yeah, the homework would be, I think she's like, if you really wanted to know, I think she still has some of the VODs on her Twitch channel of the Game of Thrones, which I think is one of the better Telltale games. The Game of Thrones is really good. You play people parallel to the story, and it starts near the Red Wedding, like right before, during, and right after the Red Wedding. But you're these people over here.
Okay.
Mike, what do you think? Mike, do you have audio up and running, Mike? You you might be muted. You look like you're talking, but you're muted, Mike.
Nope, and he's gone.
Rage quit.
That's right.
fixed that
Flip the
problem.
table. That's right. Now,
Technology.
listen to me now, motherfucker.
I was going to say, I would love to hear an episode about how to actually get your players into those positions. Because I feel like every time I've tried, or even if I've been a player, actually getting the screws into them is a little more difficult. Like you were saying before about they always want to find the better option, the perfect option. I've tried to do it. I've had other GMs who use different timing things. So, I mean, if you're looking for a whole episode's worth of time.
Okay, maybe that's the larger how to put the screws to your players. Force them into making snap decisions, quick judgments. You know.
Have you done it before though? I feel like screws to the player might have been a topic before.
We do like screwing our players over.
Yeah, I think it was just screwing your players though.
Screwing your players.
As far as tips and tricks on how to like put the screws to them psychologically, there's a couple of books written by John Wick called Play Dirty. It's GM tips on how to not be a nice GM. Like people, like there are GMs who are completely against the "I kill my players." Like
I don't. Not that way.
He is. He does not know. He doesn't
have a beer with John Wick. That guy seems like a crazy cat.
He's interesting. Like I'm following him on Facebook and then Twitter, and he's a big wrestling fan. I see more wrestling stuff on his page. That's the second thing that he posts next to RPG stuff.
Mike, now that you have your mic up and running, do you even remember the question I asked? You're good.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Up and running.
You are good. You are good.
Right.
What do you think about doing Telltale style? This or
Is the
that
topic
question?
good? It's a good topic.
You think?
If I have watched Brandy play a lot of those games.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I don't think it's feasible for a large group. I think it's ideally one-on-one or maybe one and two players.
All right. Well, let's think of that, and we'll expound upon that in. Yeah.
Because one player's snap decision then will affect the entire group.
Perfect. Yes. Yes.
Right.
I love it.
It's like Eric said. It's like a little bit of choose your own adventure. It's also a little bit like Dragon's Lair, where one wrong decision also kills your character.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it would definitely increase the animosity. I mean, there's been things where, cause and effect. I mean, where somebody's made a decision in game that's got another player character killed. I mean, we've done that. I've done that. But, some
people thrive for that.
Yeah, and some people deserve it.
It's also a little bit of multiple choice. So it's not so much like presented with a situation, what do you do? It's presented with a situation, what do you do? A, B, C, D.
Right, and much like everything else, you can have the A, B, C, D options, and players will always find the plan Q, and then
right. But here's the thing: after hours and hours of sitting around talking about it, remove that from the equation. What happens?
Yeah.
What if instead of doing that, which is trying to create
frustrated people
environment type thing, what if you pull it a step back and at the beginning you say, hey guys, there's a 30-minute timer sitting here out of game. Every time that 30-minute timer goes off, something is happening in the world. If you find it and you get to it and you make a decision, you're going to make things happen. But just so you know, I'm letting you know metagame style, that when that timer goes off, every 30 minutes, something is happening that is never going to be the same. now let's sit down and play. Because then you kind of get that, what you're talking about, Dan, I think is like you want that speed of action, make the hard choice, keep going, but you don't get kind of into the paint by numbers where your players start to feel like they don't have agency, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there is the topic is how do you create scenarios like this and force people into difficult snap decisions while still making them feel like they had a decision to make, right?
Right. Well, I mean, it would that topic would engage a lot of the table because I don't know. Are you guys getting some sort of a?
Yeah, there's something.
Somebody's running up the stairs.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's me scratching a pig.
Oh, okay.
Of course it is.
Is that a euphemism?
That's what they're calling these days.
No, that's not a euphemism.
That's hilarious.
There's an actual pig in bed.
That is hilarious.
Pig in the blankets.
Of all the answers,
Pig's out of the blanket now.
out of all the
Guys, it
possible
got too hot.
answers, nobody ever would have thought of that.
You are correct.
Hey, playing Q. Prime example.
Right.
Feedback, static. No, I'm scratching a pig.
So yeah, I think we could probably at least using that as maybe one example of putting the screws to the players. Timing things, making it Kobayashi Maru, right? The unwinnable situations, the things like that. We could kind of tie it all together as part of one thing. And it would, like I said, it would keep everybody at the table talking, discussing it, would be engaged, because you would have the game masters being able to talk about stuff, but then you would also have those who are not game masters but are avid video game players could also chime in on that decision, on that that topic. So
okay, this is all under the assumption that we'll actually get to it, because our resolutions episodes tend to balloon.
Yeah, well, that's true. But we did really good with the other one, because I was constantly watching the clock.
It's because we're paying for the time.
Right. Well, if we run over 2 hours, then we got to pay for a whole nother hour.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, in which case, 3-hour episode.
Yeah.
Just have everybody at the table just throw money into the table and keep going.
Right. Yeah. Everybody pitch in, and all those broke bastards will go, I guess we're done.
It's like Sean paying for pizza.
Right. He eats about 8 pieces and then goes, oh, I don't got any money.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would work with your group, but that would be a funny thing if you had everyone sat down at the table with a bunch of ones in front of them, and it's like, how important is what you're about to say?
Oh yeah, like a bid for like pay to talk.
That could be interesting mechanic to do. Like if you really want to say something, you chip in $1, and then that dollar gets pulled together for snacks for next session.
Right.
Let me talk about bidding in games. Have you all heard about Amber, the diceless role playing?
Here we go.
Sure.
No, tell us more.
No.
I love it so.
No.
Why does it sound like an infomercial from Starship Troopers?
'Cause
You heard about Amber?
That's right.
Would you like to know more?
Would you like to know more? Right. I've always liked the. I'm not sure who told me about this, but it was. It's like for every shot you take, you could add a dice to your dice pool.
That was the. Oh God! It was it was like something in gasoline.
Mm,
Yeah, it was like guns and gasoline.
yeah.
Let me look up.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
That's something we need to do as like a party game
Well, there is one
or an
called
AP.
the drinking RPG, I think.
Oh,
And liquor factors into it somehow.
I know. Drunken Quest. Yeah, Drinking Quest.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, that's more of a card game, I thought.
Is it? I've never actually played it.
I haven't gotten to play it, but I've listened to he's an interesting guy when you start looking into doing Kickstarters and stuff. Basically, he simplified RPGs down, so it's an RPG but with cards and stuff instead of character sheets. He simplified the RPG side because you're drinking, and he made the drinking rules a little less fatal because you are playing an RPG.
Right.
See, I pitched the idea once to my group. I don't know if anybody liked it or they thought it was awesome, and then they're just like, I don't really want to do that. But having a game go, but instead of hit points, every time you would take a wound, you take a shot. This would be good for like a marathon session, unless the liquor's really strong.
That would be good for a con game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you just can't mentally keep it together and stay in character and stay on task, you're out. I'm sorry.
Right. Or what you do is you merge those ideas, and your mechanic, your pass-fail mechanic, you use Jenga. So drinking game with Jenga.
Hmm.
I think we're on to something here. I think we're on to something.
I think there isn't there an RPG
Jason's out.
that
Hey,
already,
he'll drink himself straight.
Look at that stuff.
there's an RPG already that uses a Jenga tower. What's it called?
Dread. Yeah.
Dread. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep. So just mix Drinking Quest with Dread. I think we got onto something. And we could also use Dan's idea, Twister colored thing.
Oh, so good. $1 million idea. $1 million. Easy.
And have an easy, immediate, intermediate, hard mode. Hard mode, your liquor has to be over 100 proof.
Easy, you can use beer.
Easy beer, yeah.
All right.
All right. So that was so hard choice. That sounds like a pretty good topic. I know one of the other topics that you had brought up, I think to the private group, Dan, was The Alchemist.
Yes. Don't let shitty players dictate your game.
Yeah. Or it's just or when the rules don't conform to your character idea.
What I keep saying that is we have to come up with the most link baity title for it. It doesn't actually have to do with shitty players. It has to do with games are designed around trying to prevent people from breaking games, and I say the hell with that. Make a cool game. If people want to break it and cheat or whatever, that's up to them. These people who cheat or who exploit shouldn't dictate the direction of games.
Oh, so avoiding cheaters and people who like to fuck up your game.
We get watered down games because
so much. It's essentially balance. It's the whole balance rule, right?
Yes, and I want to chuck that shit out.
That comes into play in a lot of cases when you have an experienced DM versus not experienced DM, right? So a lot of games have to account for unexperienced, GMs, but then also the experienced ones, what is this shit? I don't need all these handrails, right? So it's a tough balancing act.
Well, Mike, do you keep your Telegram chats, Mike?
I try to.
If you look at our chat some little while ago, we were talking about Alchemist. You had a great response that completely summed this up for me. And your counterpoint was Wish, because they didn't do this because the way Pathfinder does things, and you could just make potions of Wish, right? That's essentially why we don't get Alchemist, because it's too exploitable of a class. And I think that's terrible because the idea of the Alchemist is central to the genre, right? Yeah. And things like this happen. The other option that I just brought up this last weekend was, why have we never had a good Beastmaster class, or what I want to do is play a Falconer? There's no Falconer class in any edition of D&D unless you're digging into some buried supplements, right? Ever since Beastmaster, everybody wants to have 2 ferrets and a fucking falcon.
Well, yeah.
Give it to me.
Because it's fucking Dar. Dar's a bad motherfucker. 2 ferrets. I mean,
Tiger,
right?
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna look past Beastmaster 3. We're gonna just overlook that one.
Is that the Jun Horde movie?
That's the one where he goes to present day.
Oh yeah. Mark Singer.
I remember watching that on Cinemax late at night, waiting for a Skinemax movie to come on.
It's biding your time until Skinemax started, right? Hots 4.
Yeah. So either one of this, it's just something. I know we're getting down to a finite amount of episodes left. There's just a couple of things that I thought would be interesting to talk about.
Right. Well, yeah, we're recording this season up until July or August, I think. So we're about halfway there.
Only half? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like we were getting closer to the end, I guess.
No.
Are you ready to be done already, Mike? Dan?
No. It's just my concept of time is out.
Okay, so those are the two topic the hard choices / putting the screws to the players, the alchemist, bad players dictating your play, that kind of thing. Any of those? Which of those two? Which would you guys prefer?
I'd say hard choices.
Hard choices for Wallace. Okay.
It just seems like it would be more of a wider range of a topic discussion.
Okay. Danny, you were saying something?
I was just saying I only caught the end of that discussion, but that did sound good.
Okay.
The hard choices.
I don't know who keeps honking, but I think it's Jason.
That's me. Sorry. I muted it.
Okay. All right. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you'll get more content out of the hard choices.
Okay. Gage?
Yeah, I think that hard choices is a more fulfilling topic right now.
Okay.
I think Dan will probably sit with the other one for a while and then come back next month with a way of fleshing it out to an hour.
Well, yeah, definitely.
I don't know if you guys have noticed this. I can talk about shit forever.
But we're looking for gaming topics.
Well, you could talk about shit forever, and Brandon can definitely talk about shit for a long time.
I always joke that I just fill dead air with hot air until Mike says something interesting.
Right. Eugene, what do you got? You going to be a rebel and go with the other topic, or you thinking that hard choices is probably it?
I think hard choices might be interesting to see how it works in different media, right? Like obviously in Telltale games, that setup it works, but there are a few other thoughts of where it might or might not work. So,
okay,
of those two, that's probably
all right. And then, of course, the other one will be resolutions and challenges for the new year, which brings up the next step, which is I gave you guys homework last month. And I know some of you posted some things on the chat, so let's go ahead and rehash some of those if you remember them. What are some challenges you will have for the cast for the next year?
Jason dressed up as Zardos.
All right, so Gage has he leads off with the minus for Jason already. I can already tell it's going to be a minus. So Jason has been challenged to dress up as Zardoz. I do have a picture of that, but it's a doctored picture.
Oh,
my challenge for
it's gonna go.
My challenge for Jason was to build something. Let me see if I can find it. Hang on.
Okay. Yeah, Jason's getting all the challenges.
Was that in board game discussions or raw episodes?
Or
was that society room?
There was some in boardroom discussions.
I think that's what it was.
I only had one.
Bunch in boardroom discussions.
All right.
Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, there we go. All right, I would challenge pretty much everybody in the group. One was Mike to run a Greyhawk AP for either the GT crew or Kickstarter backers before the end of 2018.
That's this year?
Yes. 12 whole months.
Do you need a 5-year plan also?
What?
Oh, man.
A 5-year plan? No.
Yes. Eric was to finish the supplement that you were writing about your academy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a Blue Rose supplement. I misheard. But the supplement for your academy is to finish and publish it for public consumption.
Okay.
Dan, write an alchemist supplement for that supplement.
That's supplement inception.
Yes. Brandy was to make a cosplay helmet for either Jason or herself that would accommodate headphones, including a finished paint job.
Something horns like.
Jason was to build a Dice Tower GM screen.
Aren't
Shannon,
you like halfway through that?
I think I already did it.
Wait, a ringer.
No, I did that like a year ago.
Shush, man, shush. What are you talking about?
Well, I'll go start that right now.
For Shannon, play a character class you've never played before in a recorded AP. And as a group challenge was to produce one complete episode of Cock Talk. That was my challenges.
Yeah, I wonder if it wasn't the tangent, I wonder if you guys had to stay on the topic of cock, if you could actually do it.
For an entire episode?
No problem.
That could be interesting.
With ringers like Jason in the
Well,
room, no problem.
Wait, but are you allowed to tangent off of the topic like you normally do onto other topics and then come as long as you come back?
You mean start on the tangent and go on to a legit topic and then come back to the tangent?
That's right. We can't be talking about game right now. We've got something else to talk about.
Something clearly more important. Jason, I don't know.
To get back to the main topic.
I would have to. I wouldn't want to hold on to my show notes for that either. I'd be like, afraid somebody would find them.
Best to let some things go. Jason, I don't know if you can see the group text chat in here, but I linked a Zardos cosplay for you. It's real nice.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's quite a few challenges there. That's nice. Anybody else?
Thanks, Dan.
I like the Cock Talk challenge. Yeah.
I'll put a challenge out there for Shannon to run a boozy AP with Brandy, Jason, and Brodor.
I remember that. That looked awesome.
That would be cool.
I've already got the boots. I can do that. That's not hard.
All right.
I suggested Monster Hearts might be a good system for that as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, yes.
Yeah. I don't know about getting Brodeur to do it because Brodeur is so anti technology. It might be hard to get him on. We'd have to probably do that one in person.
I'll break him. We'll break him of it. Love that guy.
I
had like a surprise intervention. Get him on voice chat or video chat. And it's, oh, by the way, everyone's here. We're going to play.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw, I posted on Facebook, they're opening up a miniature market. He's going to be the assistant manager of miniature market, and they're opening up a big, huge game store in St. Louis. And he even indicated to me that Gamers Table could record there whenever we wanted to.
Love that guy. Man, but it's on the ass end of St. Louis. It's way over.
Well, it's over by DePere Hospital.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, it's out there. It would literally.
Which means nothing to anybody except for the people who just reacted.
Totally unrelated and not to
The reactions give it away.
I'm not plugging a friend because I've always liked Mike. Miniature Market. If you play Warhammer or Games Workshop, it is the only place to buy Warhammer. It is so cheap. Like their base discount is amazing.
Yep.
And their clearance stuff on cheap.
Excellent.
Everything there is discounted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
miniaturemarket.com. I think it's
I think
that
so.
simple.
But yeah, my point is that he said we could do at any time. So we may be able to get that challenge in if we make like an evening trip there and ambush him with it.
Showed his dish with my pig.
That'd be cool.
Okay. Anybody else?
I had one, which was for you, Eric, to play a character using exclusively the monotone soulless announcer voice.
my monotone narrator voice. Yes.
I think it can be an NPC.
Which is funny. I was just asked to be an NPC in an AP starting I think next week, where it's going to be I'm being brought in as kind of like a NPC character with like some information and whatnot. I might have to do that in that to ensure that I never get asked again.
You have to be true to the resolution or the challenge.
Do it as the Visine guy.
Visine guy.
I forget what his name is.
Yeah, he had
Ben Stein.
the Bueller.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Bueller.
Ben Stein.
Ben Stein.
Ben Stein.
I
Thank you.
knew Jason was going to chime in with that. Knew it.
All right, the NPC narrator voice.
And have that be the voice of somebody who is like the linchpin in a very busy market. Or
Right. And he's just completely like,
yeah.
All right.
It's like the sloth in Zootopia at the DMV.
Flash,
So
the fastest guy in there.
Flash, 100-yard dash. But yeah.
All right. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I got one. How about everyone in the group has to run at least one episode of an actual play? That can be, if it's part of your continuing adventure, it's a little easier for you, Eric, Dan, and Mike. But even if it's a 3 people in a room with microphones doing a one shot, I like it because it means more content for me.
there you go.
And also kind of get everyone's different perspectives running throughout the year. Because I don't feel like, I know Shannon runs, but I don't think I've gotten to hear Shannon run. Brandon, having Brandy and Jason and Brandon, it'd be interesting to hear the different DM voices in the group.
That's an interesting idea.
And if they can't do it, then it's just more failures. So
Right.
True. True.
We're all about that.
Yes,
I
that's
don't know about challenges, but I have a new rule. For every failure at the next resolutions episode is a shot.
I like the way you think, sir.
That's encouraging.
I was like 0 for 7 one year. Ooh.
You were. Fucked.
Never have anyone succeeded a challenge.
Like, fuck it.
have you seen, and I can't remember what it's called now, but it's like a party game that has to do with like social media and stuff, where like basically you hang around and when you draw cards, it's stuff like post on Instagram is one of the cards, and then everyone gets to play something that you
Is
have
this
to
the
post on
meme
Instagram.
game?
It's
The
not
new
what
meme
you
game?
It's not what you meme. That one's fun. I have that one, but it's literally like while you're sitting there playing, you'll pull up a card that'll say like post on Twitter, and everyone like Cards Against Humanity gets to play, and it's voted, and then you have to do it. And it's just this really raunchy kind of fun thing. My thought is get that for the failed resolutions, and then it becomes take a shot or let the group dictate one of these embarrassing things.
What you do on social media? Wow. That's like truth or dare.
Truth or dare.
Jason says nay.
No.
Jason's too responsible.
I will take my shot. I will take my shot.
That's a valid option.
When the responsible thing to do is take a shot, that's
Is this what we call the illusion of choice?
Right.
And you have 30 seconds to decide.
That's right. And the egg timer. Right.
And it's all the way back to the hard decisions.
That's right.
See, we have come for it's like a circle.
Oh, the egg timers, you just keep pouring, and the longer you wait, the more there is in the glass.
Why you guys hate us?
Eyeballed layered shot glasses.
I was kind of thinking the same thing, Mike. I was thinking the same thing.
Why do they hate us?
Okay, I found it. It's called social sabotage.
Social sabotage.
That sounds awesome.
I have to look into that one.
Yeah, and you can watch some of the play of it, and some of it's tame. It'll say stuff like go into like the last text message, like the last person you sent a text message to, and it'll be something like tell them you love them. But it'll also be stuff like I'm naked and I have a banana. Like,
It sounds like that show where the chick hijacks your phone and it's like give me back my phone, and she's like finding stuff on your phone and texting people weird shit and.
Yeah.
Deleting Facebook albums full of wedding pictures and all kinds of crap.
This is a low value proposition, I find. But why would people do this?
Because they give them money. I mean, like it's little stuff for little money, and then the longer you stay in it, the more money you get paid. But the more money that they offer, the more brutal the thing that they're wanting to do.
And on a lot of those shows, you don't know exactly what show you're signing up for. You know you're signing up for a game show, and you've already spent like 6 hours waiting on a lot, and it's finally your turn to go and be on TV. And it's like by the time they say, oh, and by the way, this is the premise, you're basically throwing a day away.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, what do I do now? Okay. All right. There is a few other things I'd like to touch on before we go. Moving into the new year, there's a couple of things that obviously we're going to be doing resolutions and stuff, and that I'll go into some of the stuff during that episode. But what we had talked about before, we had talked about putting like Openly Gamer and other things kind of under the same umbrella, under the same feed, all that stuff. And one of the things that I've wanted to transition into is more of a community feel to the group and whatnot. So I've been tinkering with the idea of just calling the community the RPG Society, and then having GamersTable being like the official podcast of this society, right? It's like putting the cart before the horse. But what do you guys think about stuff like that? Is it too ambitious? Is it something that's maybe already been done? It's I'm always interested in ideas on community building and trying to bring in people. Maybe people don't like podcasts. People don't like AP, things like that. But it could still be a nexus for people to share ideas and things like that.
I mean, I think it's good, but you got to have content to back the brand. I mean,
right.
You have the main podcast, you have GamersTable, and then you have your AP postings. I would do maybe do like bicker with a backer or something. You get like a little half-hour conversation with somebody who supports the podcast, whether through the Kickstarter or through Patreon, just to meet. So, the community hears from the community, so they can,
kind of like a meet and greet kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could either do like a one-on-one, like get a host, so either you or Dan or somebody from the group who has a free afternoon that wouldn't mind doing like an online recorded conversation with somebody from the community.
Right.
Or you could do it like a round table where you get one or two hosts from the main show and then two or three people from the community, and you have like a round table discussion. I mean, you could do it just a little half-hour episode, something short.
Right. Well, I agree with that. I mean, the main thing I'm looking at is, and this is kind of ties into the fact that we record 2 episodes the same night, and then usually what I do is just kind of release both of them at the same time. And I found having been doing this for 6 months now, or just about 6 months at this point, it's like you get a lot of juice that for like around the time you release something, then it kind of fades away, and then it kind of so a regular release of something, as opposed to doing the Netflix style of just dumping everything out there and people consume it all at the same time. I mean, most people do binge consume things nowadays, and that's kind of what I was thinking when I was going to release just the 2 episodes at the same time. But then I thought, to be relevant in social media, to be relevant in, let's say, Twitch or something like that, you have to have content. And, maybe, hey, it's a Tuesday night, getting on for 30 minutes, like you said, and just having a chat with, a backer, or chat with somebody in the community. Hey, I'm going to be on in 30 minutes. Anybody who wants to jump on my stream and just chit chat, I'll be, we could do that. I mean,
they have it now where you could go live video on, you could do Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of that stuff has got live video now. So
the difference with like Netflix is like everyone knows what Netflix has, and Netflix, like, we always talk about, the bulk model on Netflix, drop it all on Netflix. Netflix puts something up every day.
Yeah.
Just because you didn't watch it, this new episode, the new season of My Little Pony went on, and someone with their kids watched it. With this, it's really more of, and they also work on a subscription, so they have their money already, regardless of how many times you go on. When you're talking about creating activity and a driving force, then yes, you need to stay top of mind relevant. So it does make more sense, because to be honest, like I'll go 2 weeks without thinking about GamersTable.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who supports
what the fuck?
Boot.
I don't know. Okay, I mean, the dreams I have about Dan, I don't think count towards.
No, you're totally fine.
Oh, okay,
they'll
then I'm fine.
last a
Okay,
lifetime.
good. But it's just top of mind thing. I think even last time when we were talking about the APs, I think Eugene and I were in the same boat of saying like we have them downloaded, but they're in a queue.
Mhm.
So it's like, how many times are you going to pop up to the top? And then going back to what you were saying before about building like an RPG like society, you kind of have to. Like, anything you're doing should all be together. It should be unified and should be driving force. I don't know if RPG is the right word, because you have Brandy with you who does streaming. You guys collectively have tabletop wargaming experience. If you decide to Twitch stream board games as product demonstrations, you're allowed to get away with that copyright wise. You're saying like part of your fear is to be limited only to podcast people. You wanted to be able to stretch out on that. I think that GamersTable has a bigger name, a broader scope of a name, like a GamersTable Society,
Okay.
than an RPG does.
Gotcha.
I had an idea that this is one of those pie in the sky ideas that I think would be fun. Again, this is Brandy planted the seed for this. So when I was teaching Brandon how to play Blood Bowl Tabletop Live, I believe her exact words were, "This is the most boring thing I've ever watched in my life." So I think to myself, I've got to stream this, right? I think it would be, if you could figure out how to do it, have a top-down cam of just the board, and then have another person, in this instance, like let's say Mike and I are playing, and Eric is doing John Madden overlay commentary with the X's and the O's and the drawing of the plays. How fucking hilariously awesome would that be?
Yeah, we talked about doing that when we were just playing the computer game.
Yeah.
Never came to fruition, but yeah, it would be entertaining if you had a commentator, no matter what you were doing.
Because like it needs a little something, right?
Right.
And at this
one
point,
person John Madden and one person Mexican soccer.
Yeah. Goal.
So that sounds amazing. And like I said, I've been learning X-Wing, and so I've been watching. They stream for 2 hours, and I'm not saying they have the biggest following in the world, but there's definitely stuff you can mine from them. But also, how much fun would this group of people be if you did pre-pro, like the way like you do in wrestling, like 1 week before the match when you have the wrestlers who are in full costume, in character, doing promotions. So if you and Mike are going to play a match or whatever, and your teams have this whole thing, then now you have extra. There you go. Look at Mike.
Just like that.
Nailing it.
Yeah.
But you have now you have an opportunity to do a 15-second video that drops on Wednesday because the Twitch stream is on a Thursday, and you have Eric doing commentary while you guys are playing Blood Bowl. Like I think you can do it. I think there's people doing similar things out there, and you could take what they're doing right and fix what they're doing wrong. I don't think that's a pie in the sky idea. I think you can do it.
It's what if the pie in the sky part is the coordinating of the time, because I think what gets lost, especially because I guess Games Workshop doesn't need any advocates. I'm not an advocate for Games Workshop. I'm an evangelist for Blood Bowl, right? Because it's my favorite game. What gets lost, what you don't get in the Steam computer game version, is the card aspect and the immediacy and the reactions of players and their dice and those 6+6+ huge plays that swing a game, right? You get that in the table in the Steam game, but it's not like live. It's not like a live game at all. And the crazy cards that can blow the game wide open.
No
digital
port of a board game will ever live up to the actual board game.
Yeah, some of them are good. The Waterdeep game is really good. Catan is really good. Monopoly, the new Monopoly, is mind-numbingly slow, but it's a good rendition of Monopoly when it doesn't crash. But yeah, the live interaction of people, I think, is what makes it.
Right.
Oh, as an aside, I looked up Social Sabotage is a Walmart/Jet exclusive. You can get it on Amazon for like twice the price, but they have it on Amazon at Walmart for $25.
Okay.
A couple of thoughts triggered off of that. So one thing in terms of keeping content, keeping relevant, I know what Gage was saying, like things end up at the bottom of the feed sometimes. And usually, the APs end up there. But what doesn't are quick hits. So there are some podcasts that have either like a very short form content overall, or like one of the things they do is very short form. So I was wondering if that's something that is possible and kind of sustainable to have like a two people from the hosts having a quick conversation about something and having that as a different type of episode that just comes out much more frequently.
I like that idea. Once a week, Eric and just the first thought off my mind off of what you're saying is just Eric and Dan sitting down and Eric going, "So Dan, what pissed you off this week?" And you just do 10 to 15 minutes.
I would say we only get 10 minutes though.
Roll credits.
Roll credits. Right.
Just get the graphic of the trumpets coming on off the side just to play them off.
So the nice thing about it is that it's right. It doesn't require big coordination. You could have set the bar there for not necessarily as much of the editing. You're not going to need as much editing if you got a couple of people. So
be lower on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to tweak this a little bit though, because I'm not really angry. I don't get angry. The better topic would be, Dan, what do you hate? Because I hate a lot of stuff.
Yeah. He doesn't get angry at it. He just hates it.
No, I just fucking hate it. What do you hate?
This is turning more and more into the Gamers Table equivalent of what grinds my gears.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. So, and the other thing I had...
Short form content's a good idea, though. Because a lot of the time you just people might have sort of 5-10 minutes to watch something sometime, and then other times they've got half an hour to an hour. So short form content's a great idea.
Years ago, this idea became something else. But years ago, we had talked about releasing. The original intent of Gamers Table was run the mics to record this shit we stay before we game. Right? It became more structured. But what if we released what is effectively cock talk, the us just bantering, the 5 or 10, 20, 30 minutes of that before we hit the topic, and
hot
release
mic
that in between.
Talk.
Yeah, hot mic. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe release that in between, right? And then
Gamers Table B-sides.
Yeah, Attack of the Killer Bees, the greatest B-side albums of all time. Anthrax, thank you.
I like it, but I think you're gonna, with stuff like that, with the candid stuff, generally you want to mine it for the best moments. And I think what you guys are saying, it sounds like with different schedules and stuff, you guys have your once a month where you can, or twice a month that you sit down, where you have schedules sorted out. So that then I like the idea of like taking that idea of the smaller content, but making it as easy to do as possible for you guys.
Right.
If you sit down with saying we're going to do 10 minutes on this topic, then hopefully if there's only 1 or 2 of you together, you don't have to edit a lot of it, and you don't let Jason and Brandy do it together.
Oh, that's nice.
3 hours later.
Right.
If you guys could only see the dynamic in Mike's current game between those two, it's hilarious.
Oh God.
Mike was even taking it outside of game because Brandy missed, but he was, stoking the fire nonetheless. It's so good.
I would watch a series of YouTube videos that were 3.5 minutes long, that were Mike recording the nonsense, and then just at the end he pans the camera back to his face, just looking like, why am I here?
Like shell shocked.
Because Mike, you have that expression that you could sell it, and I would watch after week.
Give the people what they want.
So the other thought related to kind of the commentary is from watching the C Team lately. They have the table talk kind of episodes in between the normal ones, and it would be interesting to get some insight and banter about like how things went in the game, some of the APs, more focused than being mentioned in a regular episode. And maybe those would be pretty short, but it might be, either throughout the AP as it goes on, or, at the end, whatever it is. So
like a behind the scenes kind of thing.
kind of behind the scenes, like, okay, this is, I did, this as a GM because, and this is the conflict I had as my character trying to figure out what to do with it. So just, yeah. I don't know if that's
post-game report.
But you could try it.
Yeah. Like, well, that it would almost have to be after the AP was produced. I mean, to cut it up into because it depends on how quick the turnaround time would be. If it was a fully produced, dramatization, I mean, that's months. That, I mean, I would, we could do it post game, but then I'd sit on that for a while before I'd release it, because obviously it would give away spoilers and stuff like that. So,
sounds like a DVD extra is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, and that's kind of what those shorter things for YouTube or Twitch or Twitter, that's kind of what they're like. They're like DVD extras, exactly. Or even during an AP, like, okay, this week's going to go up, and then you ask everyone who's playing in that AP, hey, what were you thinking about in this moment? Like how when you watch a reality show and then it cuts to, I don't know what I was thinking.
All right, confessionals and shit. Yeah.
Because then everyone can do it on their own time, and maybe, of the 3 people you send it to, maybe only one of the people gets it to you. But if every time an AP drops, 3-4 days later, you can drop that. And in reality, once a week minimum is kind of the standard now. Some people are doing 3-4 times a week.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Those are people called unemployed.
Well, if you're doing
it
it,
becomes your job.
Right. If you're doing it, if you're doing it 3 times a week, but it's like, all right, I'm popping on at 8 o'clock from 8 to 8:15. I mean, at home I could say, hey, it's 8 o'clock. Where I know normally say, hey, it's 8 o'clock, I'm gonna go take a shit. It's, hey, it's 8 o'clock, I'll be back in 15 minutes. It's not that big of a deal.
GamersTable.
Why not?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just do it from the stool, right?
GM from the
That's right. And then the the ending credits would just be flush. Right.
You have to whistle.
Welcome to Toilet Talk.
That's right. Don't mind that. Ooh, I need to light a match.
Well, you all know that the Jerky Boys started out as the Tube Bar Boys. They recorded. They put mics in toilets in New York City public restrooms. So there's a little snippet
of history for you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, those are some good ideas. I'm not in school this semester, so the idea of popping on and doing something on the regular is not outside the realm of possibility. And to just say, hey, I'm going to be on at this time. Any of the hosts available to just pop on for 15 minutes, let me know. Or, hey, board members, society members, whatever, I'm going to be on at this time, first come, first serve, or, hey, just kind of like what we're doing right now, just kind of sit around and chit chat for a few minutes. I mean, we've been going for over an hour now, but,
All right, everyone, roll initiative.
That's right.
That's right. That's interesting. Mike is fucking genius. Roundtable discussion. You roll for initiative. That's your order. That's it. Game it up.
Yeah, but what if you hold your action?
That's what Mike would do. Yeah, Mike would do that.
Right.
Yeah, but can you take a special class ability that allows you to interrupt someone later?
Well, seize the initiative.
This is not 4th edition. What the
fuck? Game it up.
Right. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. All right. You start off the little quick hitter is, all right, let's roll initiative. All right. This is what we're going to talk about. Go. So, egg timer, right?
Fucking hilarious. God damn it, Mike.
Best is, Mike, you just say this shit not thinking that it matters. Like, you just say these one-off little jokes off to the side, and everyone else is like, God damn it, yes.
Yeah.
It's my life's goal for everyone to understand how good Mike is, because he himself will only downplay it.
I'm saving it.
That's what, exactly. Yeah. For what we don't know.
But I'll tell you what, but watch out when he lets it go. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, the floodgates are open. Got anything else, sir?
Well, yeah, I did want to put out a feeler about. No, I mean we've got a pretty good turnout this month. As a hey, this is kind of what you could be doing if you were to be a board member thing. What do you guys think about opening it up to just like the regular society for next month? To see, I mean, it potentially could just be us again, or it could be big. I don't know.
What are the limits of Zoom?
Because I'm a paid, I think I can have up to 100 people.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck that would work, but yeah.
We would have to roll for initiative.
Yeah, we'd have to like roll a percentage, right?
Work up a cue card system where you just hold a card up.
Right.
We used to do that at camp. If someone
Right.
wanted to talk, you'd put up a word, and then if someone else already had a finger, you'd just start going until it was your turn.
Right.
What if you're number 38? You hold up.
Then they think you're doing gang signs.
Like
right.
Well, you can do it with binary.
Yeah.
You can do it with binary counting your finger.
You're just like.
Yeah. See, there you go. Right there. Raise your hand.
There is a way that you can count on binary on your fingers. You can count up to 32 on one hand.
Yeah, because of the different. I mean, I wonder what are the capabilities of like Zoom if you have the option, because I know there's something in here it said earlier where it was literally like, would you like to raise your hand?
Yeah, Danny just did that. He just did that. If you watch, you have a thing on there where you can click it. Yep, there it goes again. Raise your hand.
I'm not seeing it.
Two participants.
Showrunner.
It must be. Yeah. So I guess
literally raising your hand.
No, it's managed participants, and I guess because I'm running the meeting, it's.
I think you could technically probably mute everybody, and then.
I definitely can do that.
Yeah. There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you got to click participants on the bottom and you see it.
Yeah. So So that would certainly help a lot of that. And I as I'm looking at your screens, whoever has their hand raised has a little bitty hand icon in the corner, so I can just look at the corner of the screens and I can go, okay, Danny has his hand raised. Yes, Danny, you have a question, sir.
What about the idea of making it a Patreon backer reward level?
Yeah, no, that's true. But I wasn't suggesting doing it like in perpetuity. I'm thinking, just as a one-time thing, like next month, for the February meeting.
Eric's a drug dealer. The first one is free.
Exactly. So that's right. Yeah. So you give them just the tip, and then they go, wow, I'd really love to do that again. Well, yeah, of course you would.
Give us your money.
Right. But yeah,
have you had much new people join in on the society or anything? Has there been much involvement since like the Kickstarter campaign ended?
It's been sporadic. I mean, the whole what was that Patreon debacle? Some people dropped off, but then like as soon as they straightened it out, a couple more people came on. A lot of the not Patreon, but the Kickstarter backers are part of the chat. Not all of them. Some of them just, I guess it's not their thing. But I mean, as tonight shows, I mean, we're getting more and more people involved in this. I think because I've been recording these, and I will make them. I'm going to make this one available as kind of like a showcase of this is what we do, and kind of what we're talking about, and let the other people who aren't part of the board watch it and say, we're going to do this, but we're going to open it up to everybody next month, whoever wants to come in. But I didn't want to make that decision not talking to you guys first, because I mean, obviously this is it's a much more intimate thing, and it could potentially get pretty big if people from just the society were to join, because there's like twice as many. So
I mean, it'd be worth it just to open it up for one meeting and see what happens.
Yeah. That
just as like a case study.
Okay.
My only worry is the organization side for you.
Well,
like if 30 people pop up,
just start muting them.
He's ran Shadowrun for more than that, so it's fine.
That's right. In one sitting, you fuckers. Right.
Eric, why would you do that to yourself?
Actually, the most I've ever ran for is probably 11.
Still,
I mean, I'm really horrible at turning people away when it comes to gaming.
And Shadowrun just brought everybody out of the woodwork.
Well, that was the, hey, I'm going to run Shadowrun, and people would come out. People we hadn't gamed with for months or years would show up, and
nobody wants to run it.
Well, yeah, and it's just one of those. That was just one of those things that everybody had, warm and fuzzy memories of getting boned. So they just like, oh yeah, I remember my character died this way.
Yeah, Stockholm run.
Yeah, exactly. Stockholm syndrome. That's actually, it sounds like a topic. It's the Stockholm GM syndrome, right?
No, that's actually a thing with me. A friend of mine ran it was a game of Wushu, but he ran Pulp Matrix Wushu.
Nice.
So it was the Matrix, but it was the 1930s, 1940s era. And so we're fighting the agents Matrix style, but we have like the big long mobster trench coats instead of the leather trench coats, and we're bringing out Tommy guns and old World War II trench guns and
that's interesting.
potato masher grenades instead of just the fragmentations that we have now and everything. I mean, it was fun, and
Sounds
every
really
time
cool.
it comes up, I was like, you should run that again. Because he ran it half and half inside the Matrix and outside the Matrix. So we're dealing with the Nebuchadnezzar era of it, where you're dealing with the hovercrafts and dealing with the squiddies and stuff like that. And the way that he worked it was that the reason why it's pulp is because it was an older version of the Matrix before they put a patch in to make it modern day.
Okay.
It was just an older version of the Matrix.
Wow.
And I just thought it was neat.
Yeah. On a complete side thing, earlier in the week, somebody in a different chat was talking to me about something and said that they have horrible memories of Shadowrun and never play Shadowrun again because the one time they played a Technomancer, and the other PCs drugged him and sold him to a lab. And to which my reply was, that's the greatest story I've ever fucking heard. And then immediately went south, because then it was like, well, that was a horrible memory on my part, and it soured me on the game. And I'm like, God damn, that's such a fucking awesome story that
that's
you
when
could
take your GM out to pizza and
Right.
say, all right, 3 weeks from now, we got to fuck them.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
See, where he saw a closed door, we saw open doors.
Right. Yeah. It's like you've completely, you sold me on now. Now I get the shackles are unleashed. I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, there was just, so many people have such bad memories of Shadowrun, and it's stuff like that. And I'm like, my God, that's the good stuff in my game. That's the stories people continue to tell.
Yeah, that's a shitty group, though. That's got to be what it is.
Well, yeah. And the longer the guy talked about it, the more I realized that he was more of a victim than anything else. And it was just like, man, that sucks, because that was just them taking advantage of him because he was a noob and new to the group, and they just fucked him. But that's the kind of thing that, like you said, you come back the next week with another character and totally, I was telling our friend Greg the same story, and he goes, "Man, you come back the next time you play a black clinic surgeon and offer to do fucking free cyberware and shit for them, all the time harvesting their organs and shit." I was like, "Yeah, that's exactly what you do."
My first D&D group, they were teaching me how to play the game, but every time they leveled up, no one ever told me that you got health points. So we went into this boss fight or whatever, level 7 or 8, and I had 8 health points as a little 3.5, 8 health points. And I looked around to them. And I was like, wait, how do you guys have so much health? And you should have gotten that every level. I was like, well, you didn't tell me that. He's like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. And I walked out of the room and locked the door behind me.
It smells like there's a topic in there somewhere. But
It does. It certainly does. Putting the screws to your players. I think they like we'd add into that.
That could also go with busting your cherry.
There you go. Could be that too.
There you
Or
go.
just-
Yeah, like your first time gaming story.
But also like panning for gold and shit, right?
Panning, right.
Where something that seems like it could be really crappy, but if you take a different perspective on it, what can you do with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then to kind of wrap it up, there's this. You want to talk about pie in the sky ideas? What we have talked about a lot behind closed doors and whatnot is a get together. Not we're not talking about like a con or anything like that, but just more of a. I know the RPG Academy does it. They call it their retreat, and what they do is they get like a hotel conference room for a weekend, and just say, hey, we're going to do it at this time, whatnot. That's not something I'm looking to start working on right now, but would there be a general interest in something like that? I know everybody's got schedules, and Danny, I know we'd have to have you like FedExed to us, so which can be done.
Sounds really cool, but I'm a little bit far away.
Right.
Just say it's a GamersTable Iron Man, and then you just do a lap around the hotel, and we'll call it a day.
You just need to pack more rations in your crate. That's all.
Right. Right.
Hey, George of the Jungle did it with a pecan, a box of Reeboks, and a juice box. So I'm pretty sure you can pull it off.
Right. Well, and see if something like this were to pan out, and people would we would be willing to come and have a get together, and pie in the sky idea would be we as a group would go different places too, and then the ultimate thing would be we would all go to Australia and hang out with Danny and Toju.
Yes.
Which would be awesome, although also very scary, because 300 things can kill you just in the airport alone.
Yeah.
Well, that's why first you come see me in Florida. It's
there you go.
It's the trial run. It's the Australia, the U.S.
That's right.
Real. Well, not right now, because apparently we have more snow coming in.
Apparently, but we still have alligators and crocodiles.
Yeah, but the alligators are snorkeling. The alligators are hibernating with their noses sticking out of the ice.
So anyway, it's something to just kind of kick around. It's something that we've, as a group, have talked about for a while. Is because we've done the con thing, and I still intend on doing some smaller cons and whatnot. But Gen Con just doesn't look like it's financially possible.
Didn't that start Sunday? Gen Con?
The registration?
Yeah,
I think it does.
Is anybody going this year?
I'm gonna try.
Planner in November works for me. At the moment, I'm looking at coming over to do a race.
Well, see, and here is something that I was looking at. One of my coworkers was talking about, because I said something to the effect of, I've got friends from all over the place, and it's so hard to I would love to have a get together and meet with some of these friends that I've made that I never ever get to see. And she goes, why don't you go to Vegas? And I went, because you can get flights to Vegas cheap as fuck, at least in the States. Because
they lose the rest of the money you would spend on a ticket while you're there, so they figure we'll get you here cheap.
Exactly right. So I was like, I never even really thought about that. And she was like, yeah, you can get like a place off the strip and get a conference room for not a whole lot of money, and and everybody stay in the same hotel and whatnot. And I was like, because I know I get things from a local airline that like flies to Vegas for like $39 and shit like that. Yeah. And
last time I had to go out for work, it was $89 each way.
You know?
Um,
So I mean,
direct.
yeah,
Not from Boston, I don't think. We only go that cheap to, New York, Washington, or Buffalo.
yeah. Who the fuck goes to Buffalo?
Exactly. That's what it's such. Well, actually, Niagara Falls. So I guess that.
I say that one of my old roommates was from Syracuse, so he was like Buffalo was like he was like the biggest Buffalo Bills fan ever, and I was like, who the fuck ever goes to Buffalo? All they have is snow.
I would say Atlanta is another good option, just
Oh,
because of Delta.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that works for me. That's where I'll be in November.
And Danny's going to be there in November. Anyway. I know, personally, my son is joining us in April. So once he's born, it's going to be work and diapers for.
Oh yeah.
Because when I'm home, I'm home, and when I'm on the road, I'm on the road. So I will be taking care of him when I'm home.
Yeah.
So for me, it's honestly going to be like if I happen to be in a city with every time I go to a city for work, I have about one day. That's the only way I'm going to get to see anybody. So unless we're going to Chicago or San Diego directly, or DC, like directly when I'm there for work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame, but it's just going to be a bad year or two.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Louisville next year, and that's a very centralized location as well.
it's relatively close to us too.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
I second Atlanta.
Hot
So
Atlanta.
Danny definitely third.
Atlanta.
I'm only 4 hours.
November. November, Atlanta. Yeah, raises his hand. I mean, it could be just as informal as who will be able to make it to Atlanta at X time, and we could just do it something like that. You don't have to necessarily make it a huge thing. Just let's shoot for whatever time. Danny's going to be in Atlanta in November. Let's see if it's possible. And whoever makes it, whoever doesn't, doesn't. And we just maybe even do something like this, and have a group get together and or something. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be huge. So.
Oh, if you're going to be in November in Atlanta, I mean, Philly's not that far away, and the New York PAX Unplugged accidentally.
Yeah, but in November is a much better city to be in than Philly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's just something to kick around, think about. Anyway, so I think that was all I had. Anybody got anything else they want to bring up?
I'm good.
Oh, good.
Okay. All right. So we've got the challenges. I got those written down, and we will record those tomorrow. The topic looks like it's going to be hard choices in addition to that. Okay. And then I'm assuming it's cool with everybody to open up the meeting for whoever wants to join next month only, just to kind of gauge it and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day in Beloved, right?
We'll definitely have to pull out some cock talk just to entice them.
I think it'll just naturally happen.
That's right. Naturally occurring cock talk.
We should just all wear costume and tell. Wait, nobody told you this isn't costume?
That's right. I thought it was a costume ball.
Everybody wear one. Don't tell Brandy.
Or the other way. Tell them that's costume, but not actually.
Right, and then see who shows up in costume, right? All right, guys.
I'm at work, so
that'd be fun. It's costume day at work. Like, what is wrong with you, man?
Wear a funny hat to your podcast night.
Thank you very much, guys.
As always, it's a lot of fun. All right, and we'll talk to you guys again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
See ya.